I turned $200 into over $20,000 this year simply by trading meme coins on Solana. The journey has been filled with some meteoric highs and some catastrophic lows, but today we take a dive down memory lane and look at how I got to this point, evaluating my biggest wins and explaining how you too can do the same. There's one particular strategy I use when it comes to finding the heavy hitters. You'll rarely find me in the true runners of Solana, the Billies, the Peanuts and the Fwogs of the world, but this lion gets his steak in a way that a lot of people only find by the time I've finished my meal, and I'll share that later in this video. Before I discovered the art of front-running potential trends, finding metas and wallet tracking, I was a degen at heart. Nothing's changed. The biggest actual win I gained on Solana was in no beta. Could I tell you what it was? No, but it was in that brief period where one wallet would buy 80 to 90% of the supply and you'd be playing a real life version of Crash. After Doraemon broke the Solana trenches, a few other coins followed and one of those was Nebita. I saw it fly off of PumpFun with the high supply and I thought a low risk 0.2 sol is enough to cash in if it is what I think it is, and if it's not, it's 0.2, it's not the end of the world. And luckily, it turned out brilliantly, turning my measly 0.2 sol into 4.5 in a matter of minutes, replacing the 4.5 sol I lost earlier in the night by being a fucking Dimmy Cat was the same kind of concept, but I was more aggressive with the size given how Nebita went a couple of days before. I aped 1 sol, got scared and pulled out 8 sol. A quick hit and run, in and out faster than a Max Verstappen pit stop, and by the looks of it, that couldn't have gone much better. But most of my big money has come on 2 trades, and the first very much set the foundation for how I approach meme coins moving forward. May 13th happened, and while that number is unlucky for some, it certainly wasn't for me. Roaring Kitty posted the locking in meme on X, his first post in nearly 3 years after the GME saga had wrapped up. Naturally, the internet ran wild, but at the time of the tweet, the market was closed. My degen ass attempted to find the oldest Solana GME coin. Kitty tweeted at 8 PM Eastern, and my first GME buy was 8:24 PM, so it was a bit late, but in the grand scheme of things, it was pretty early. I scaled in to around 2 sol, and after taking some initials and a little bit of profit a few hours later, I went to bed sleeping on a bag, which is never advisable, but I had confidence that by the time that the market opened, a GME pump would mean big things for the Solana equivalent. And I was right. The coin ran from 14 million to 60 overnight, and I did more around the 45 million mark, and the degens ran that all the way up to around 140 million, where I decided to pull my Michael Burry impression and finally sell. But through careful DCAing and selling when I was comfortable with profits, buying after and doing so again, I was able to pull out a total of 23 sol. But while this GME euphoria was going on, I also went back and found the oldest coin on PumpFun, which, believe me, is something to do. If there is a runner, the space is so saturated now, there is a chance it is a copycat coin. So if you go back and find the OG version, you're probably going to get some kind of pump. Now, whether that's sustained is anyone's guess, but it's always worth a go. I did 1.8 sol, which is a little bit high for me, but I was high on confidence, and that went all the way up to 7.6 sol. So in summary, being early and intuitive in reacting to a tweet from Roaring Kitty, I was able to turn 4 sol into around 30, which isn't bad for the little degen from Autistville. So after this, I got heavily into wallet tracking and decided to see if there were any huge winners on GME bigger than me, and obviously there were some crazy whales, but to my amazement, there were 2 wallets who bought before Roaring Kitty's announcement and did so again when he tweeted about Chewy a few weeks later. The other trades on these wallets were minimal, which gave me a slight implication that this could be Roaring Kitty, or at least someone that could be very close to him or incredibly lucky. Now, I made a whole video on this next play, so if you want to watch that, click here. But one of those wallets mysteriously started offloading Solana after months of being quiet. I added every one of those new wallets to my tracker, which is Ray Red, there's a link to it in the description below, and one of them randomly pinged a buy on Unity, a PumpFun coin at 5k that had just been launched and was framed as a Roaring Kitty fan community, despite having obvious links to the stock. After days of holding, scanning every new buy and noting how many of them were fresh wallets, I deemed that there was something a bit odd about this coin, and when it finally exploded off PumpFun, none of the top holders sold, and it eventually flew upwards to 1.2 million. Now admittedly, I didn't handle this one very well. I did have a side wallet in which printed, and a friend of mine was also in the coin, but I was too cautious in taking profits. I hate being Icarus and flying too close to the sun, so I always try and get as much out as I can. And while you can't go broke from taking profits, you can certainly spend your winnings on therapy after watching your biggest conviction play ever soar past a 10x after you've already made a 10x. I look back at this chart weekly and wish I'd held more, but I still made around 14 SOL in one wallet, a little bit more in another, and my friend got himself more than a nice Uber Eats meal with his 0.28. So it was a good play, one I wish I'd handled better, but hey, game's game. Now a similar play to this was Toys R Us. I noticed that GME were filing for a lot of offerings under the guise of mergers and acquisitions. I also dug a bit deeper and realised that the Toys R Us stock, or at least the company that hold their rights, had some strange goings on, with the price being frozen at one point and not many brokers able to shed light on why. I found the oldest Toys R Us coin on Solana and aped a bag down in the doldrums before discussing it with my friends. I continued to then connect dots, and it genuinely looked like a potential merger was on the horizon. Now it wasn't guaranteed obviously, but there were at least enough breadcrumbs to make it viable. My friends got excited, they're far more connected than me, and ended up sending a monstrous CTO from 5k to around 1 million as everyone rushed in for GME's first possible acquisition, a beaten down company with links to the brand. Unfortunately, during GME's earnings call, where I'd hoped we'd get a breadcrumb, nothing was announced and the coin got absolutely obliterated. I did make around 20 SOL again here, but I had a lot more in my bag, like a lot more. But I was the main guy that found this thesis and was kind of at the front of all of it, and it would have been so dirty for me to not only nuke the projects on my friends who made the CTO, but obviously all the holders that only got in because my thesis had... So I left a lot on the table. I wasn't going to be the villain of this story, and don't get me wrong, I earned my payday, I clipped out a nice profit, gradually selling on the way down, and I earned it for being obsessed with digging the details. But I wasn't ready to Oppenheimer a chart of people who aped because of the thesis that I spread. So they did that to me instead. Cheers, fellas. You know, I guess that's fair. There's yin and yang, ice and fire, taking profits and round tripping. It's all the same game. Looking back, most of my actual big wins have been because of front runs. I made a 3x on Fuck Jenner, which came after the, yeah, that mess. Free Stack gave me a 5x after the PumpFun community latched onto the hacker who broke the platform for a day before being arrested and then later sectioned. And Dark Musk printed me 19 SOL when Elon randomly decided to tweet the term. I somehow timed the buy about 30 minutes before this. I had no idea what it even was, and the god of all things rocket related decided to bless me with a ridiculous gain. Genuine euphoria in one candle. I've to this day not been so shocked and adulated after a win. However, my trading recently has been reduced to ash. I don't know what's happened. Maybe I gave my front running powers in exchange to provide funny little YouTube videos, but I've been getting absolutely obliterated in recent weeks. Maybe one day I'll return to my best, maybe I'm overtrading, or maybe I'm just destined to be like Saudi Cristiano Ronaldo. Who knows what the future holds. But in summary, the meme coin space is absolutely wild. However, if you have an idea and you're early, maybe even right, you can turn a little into a lot and then lose it on 3 rugs 3 hours later. If you want to find some tools to help you trade better, make sure to check out this video and hit subscribe for more. We are nearing King of the Hill now, or 1,000 subscribers, and we would love for you to be an early holder, so hit that button, join our Telegram, and let's print together, or go to therapy, most likely therapy. Until next time, I'll see you in the trenches.